The Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, heir to the throne, looks like one of those Gorbachev types that come along from time to time, an insider who thinks the regime in which he operates is wholly dysfunctional and needs to be reformed. One concrete ambition is investment of $500 billion in a new futuristic city on the Red Sea coast called Neom.
A place where pioneers and thinkers and doers can exchange ideas and get things done.
The promotional video shows just how different they intend it to be from the stultifying, repressed images we normally see from Saudi.
Stunning nature, mountains, plains, valleys, coasts, coral reefs, islands. Mountains are covered with snow in winter, mild weather in summer, 10 degrees less than the other Gulf cities and capitals. The political will is strong, the popular will and desire is strong. All the elements of success exist to create something great within the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia.
That's the Crown Prince bin Salman. He's only 32 and he's the recently appointed heir to the Saudi throne, replacing his cousin in the role. He's already impressed President Trump.
With energy that flows from the sun and wind.
One objective is economic, preparing the country for when the world weans itself off oil. It also needs jobs to occupy its youthful population. More than 2/3 of the population is under 30. But another objective is cultural. The country has become a beacon of ultra-conservative Sunni thinking. The Crown Prince made an astonishing admission to The Guardian this week. What happened in the region in the last 30 years is not the Middle East. After the Iranian Revolution in 1979, people wanted to copy this model in different countries. One of them is Saudi Arabia. We didn't know how to deal with it, and the problem spread all over the world. Now is the time to get rid of it. Change has already been evident. Women being given license to drive. An obvious step to us, but a huge change in Saudi Arabia. The vicious war in Yemen might be seen as just one sign that the country is not close to a humane presence in the region. And then, of course, there is the problem of resistance within. Will a Crown Prince beat the forces whose status and power has derived from the old order? Saudi Arabia is a new Dubai. Well, Dubai has its issues, but nothing compared to those of Saudi. So is reform for real? I'm joined by the Saudi journalist Abeer Mishkhas, who just returned there this week, returned from Riyadh, and by Nesrine Malik, another journalist who herself used to live in Saudi Arabia. But let's just start briefly with the BBC's Frank Gardner, who knows the country so well. And Frank, just tell us a little about this Crown Prince.
It is impossible to overstate how important the changes this man is making. It is absolutely tectonic. By Saudi standards, it is moving at a lightning pace. These are changes nobody could have imagined possible happening so quickly. The man who runs the economy, the defense, the royal court, just about everything, has turned around and told Saudis, we've actually been getting it wrong. It's time to stop extremism.
And he has the king's support, presumably, because the king promoted him just a few months back.
He does. He's the king's favourite son, which isn't popular with everybody. Some of the older princes are upset at that. I met them both in 2013 in Jeddah, in the King's Palace. I didn't even know who this guy was. I said, what do you actually do for a living? And he said, I'm a lawyer. He, in fact, at the time was relatively obscure, but he's risen to prominence. He's made some mistakes. He started this catastrophic war in Yemen, which is nobody is winning. The Yemenis are losing it by the thousand. He is also involved in a spat with Qatar. But this is a bold step, which I think many Saudis would agree has got to be done. They need to find an alternative to oil. They need to move on and join the rest of the 21st century.
All right, well, let me turn to my two guests. I mean, Abeer, do you think this is for real? Because often people talk about, reform, but it's not really there.
I think it is for real. I mean, there's a huge wave of optimism in the country. It's something that nobody ever spoke about before, just talk about how we had a problem with the religious establishment, with the ideology itself. and to say that we had all that time, we wasted 30 years, we're not going to waste other 30 years in it, and we have to do something about it. I think this is something that everybody was so happy to hear.
You welcome this, by the way, presumably.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But you were there. Were other people that they were talking about it? And
yeah, actually, they were talking about it, and people, at least the people I've seen and talked to, they're very optimistic, and they're thinking about what's
Right.
going to happen in the country. What are they going to do about it?
Nesrine, what do you feel this is real? Because obviously one thing you could do is just actually liberate it now. You could say we'll take people out of jail and we'll give.
No, I do believe it is right. I think there's two issues here. One is, in the short term, is this, you know, a shifting of tectonic plates? Is it completely revolutionary? Is it something we did not expect to see in our lifetimes? Absolutely yes. My concern is in the application and in the suggestive mistakes that he has made, that you yourself has mentioned, and also even in the past few weeks, since he has started to confront the religious establishment, people have been thrown in jail, they've been banned from traveling. A very high-profile youth sort of religious scholar and TV presenter was banned from traveling today. And so my concern is the application going to be as smooth? And also, is the support for him kind of confined to cosmopolitan elites, but in the hinterlands, which one of the senior royals referred to, call them the people in the small towns that have not really, you know, come with the times. Exactly.
Yeah.
Are they going to be supportive?
Abeer, because you've obviously drunk the Kool-Aid. You support the guy. I mean, why is there still such repression today? I mean, you could start liberating more quickly than his program. You don't have to have Vision 2030, whatever he's called it.
Well, it is very hard. You're talking about a country that has been, you know, just kept behind everyone else for years and years. And now it's just wanting all these changes. You can't imagine how much resistance there was for the driving of women. Still is. I mean, if you go on and listen to people talking about it, they're still complaining. Some people are complaining. Some people actually are not happy with what the Crown Prince is talking about. And he has to fight all that. The thing is, he's supported with all the young people of the country who've been traveling abroad, who studied abroad, who want to find new jobs, who want to stop, you know, traveling to other countries to feel free. They just want everything in the country.
Nasreen, should we worry that, I mean, the Crown Prince may mean it, but the forces of conservatism are just too strong to I mean, assassination, you could imagine any number of things, really, couldn't you, happening?
There's always that scenario. I actually am optimistic. I do think that the momentum is behind him in terms of demographics and in terms of kind of the age and the, you know, the fact that the current generation has been on the internet, on social media for the past 15 years. It's a very different bedrock to people who have decided to reform before him. So I'm not concerned about the kind of the tailwind behind him. I don't think that there's going to be that much resistance from the establishment. What I am concerned about is that the lessons that are learned from the past 30 years, as he refers to, I don't think it begins with the Iran Revolution, that's another session. I'm afraid that the lessons of 30 years will not be learned, which is that there was complicity on behalf of the royal family to actually inject extremist and actually radical language into the public address of the country.
Religious language, you mean?
Yes, into the academic curriculums of the country. This was not something that was imposed by some disembodied religious establishment. It was with the full sanction and complicity of the royal family. And I think to deny that that was something that they did and that they need to undo will be one of the big tests.
Yeah. I mean, Frank, we're not talking about democracy in 2030, are we? Or is that the ultimate vision?
No, and I think let's not get starry-eyed about this. It is not. He's no Democrat. A lot of people are getting locked up for blogs, for tweets, etc. It's not a kind of Western-style democracy that he's aiming for. What he's aiming to do is to liberate the economic power of Saudi Arabia, to find jobs for all these millions of people pouring out of schools and universities. The risk, just as Nasreen says, is that there will be forces gathering, dark forces gathering against him who don't like what he's doing, and they will remember what happened to King Faisal, who was a modernizer in the 1960s. The Conservatives opposed women's education, they opposed television, he overruled them, ultimately he was assassinated in 75. God willing, that's not going to happen.
Very briefly, last one, Abeer. I mean, Yemen is a blot on the Saudi copybook, right? Of a serious kind. Should we trust the guy who's kind of behind that to be the reformer?
Well, the thing is, you can't get everything that you want from the same person. I mean, you said Gorbachev, so Gorbachev did help. In a way, at the time, it wasn't seen as helpful by other people in Russia or in the Soviet Union. So there's always, you know, you have to see everything on the
It's going to be a mixed bag. Okay. Yeah. Well, look, it's an interesting one to watch. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.